Have you ever faced a problem that seemed too big to handle? Maybe it's a tough decision, a personal struggle, or a challenge you feel completely unprepared for. Well, you're not alone. Over 3,000 years ago, a young shepherd named David faced something so terrifying, even the bravest warriors ran away. But David had something they didn't, a faith so strong it changed everything. Let me tell you his story. Our story begins in ancient Israel, where the Israelites are at war with the Philistines. The two armies are camped on opposite sides of a valley, too afraid to fight directly. Why? Because the Philistines have a secret weapon, a giant named Goliath. Now, Goliath wasn't just big, he was terrifying. Standing over 9 feet tall, wearing armor that weighed more than some people, and carrying a spear as tall as a tree, Goliath was unbeatable, or so everyone thought. Every day, Goliath marched into the valley and shouted, "Send me your best warrior. If he wins, we'll serve you, but if I win, you'll serve us." For 40 days, no one dared to challenge him. Meanwhile, a young shepherd named David was far away, tending sheep. David wasn't a soldier. He was the youngest of 8 brothers and spent his days protecting his flock from wild animals. But David had something special. He trusted God completely. One day, David's father sent him to deliver food to his brothers, who were soldiers in the Israelite army. When David arrived at the battlefield, he heard Goliath's taunts. He couldn't believe it. "Why is no one standing up to this man?" he asked. His brothers mocked him. "You're just a boy. Go back to your sheep." But David didn't listen. He went straight to King Saul and said, "I'll fight Goliath." The king was stunned. "You're too young," Saul said. But David replied, "God has helped me protect my sheep from lions and bears. He will help me defeat this giant." Saul finally agreed and offered David his armor, but it didn't fit. David chose instead to fight with what he knew, a sling, 5 smooth stones, and his faith in God. David stepped onto the battlefield, holding nothing but his sling and stones. Goliath saw him and laughed. "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" he roared. But David wasn't afraid. He shouted back, "You come at me with sword and spear, but I come at you in the name of the Lord Almighty. Today the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel." As Goliath charged, David reached into his bag, pulled out a stone, and placed it in his sling. He swung it around and released. The stone flew through the air and struck Goliath right in the forehead. The giant fell to the ground with a crash. The Israelites were stunned, but when they realized what had happened, they cheered. David ran to Goliath, took his sword, and finished the job. The Philistines saw their champion was dead and ran away in fear. David had won. So, what can we learn from David's story? First, courage doesn't come from being the strongest or the most experienced. It comes from trusting God. David didn't defeat Goliath because of his skill. He won because he believed that God was bigger than any giant. Second, we all face giants in life: fear, doubt, or challenges that seem impossible. Like David, we can choose faith over fear. Even when the odds are stacked against us, God gives us the strength to overcome. Finally, David reminds us that we don't need to be someone else to succeed. David didn't wear the king's armor. He used what he knew. God can use you just as you are to do incredible things. David's story is a powerful reminder that no giant is too big when you have faith. So, what giants are you facing today? Take a moment to pray, trust God, and step forward with courage, just like David. Thank you for watching. If this story inspired you, give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs encouragement. Don't forget to subscribe for more Bible stories and lessons. Until next time, remember, with God, all things are possible.